What's the main reason for the holiday that we're looking forward to celebrating? We're already starting to celebrate. What is the cause of that? What is the reasoning behind it?
Should be the birth of the Savior, like he said.
Should be the birth of the Savior. Is it?
No.
I think what we're looking at right now is a good example of what the sermon is about today. The wind is blowing. The Bible teaches that they talk about trouble and strife and trials of the world is winds. And the Bible teaches that there are angels who are holding the four winds back right now, but they're starting to let go. The winds of trouble and trials and strife is going to be more and more intense, more prevalent, either in our homes, around our homes. We've been protected for quite some time. But we see the wind starting to blow here in the United States as never before in our time. This week, in our Bible study and prayer meeting, like I said, there was only 5 of us here. I'll count me this time. There was 5 of us here. And the lesson that we studied, some of what we looked at, is something that I want to share with you today. And then we're going to share some scripture. If we look around the church, in the church, if a new member comes in or someone that's just searching wanting to be a Christian, they came into the church and they sat down and looked at the Seventh-day Adventist church, you may look around at the people in the church that you attend and wonder, shouldn't people who have been Christians a long time be more joyful about Jesus? That's a question that could be asked of all of us. Should we be more joyful? Look around you. Look at the faces of those that on Sabbath morning, looking for the ones that are smiling and the ones that are not. Shouldn't they be more and more enthusiastic about telling others what He has done and what He is doing for them? Shouldn't we? For some, that is true, yet strangely for others, it seems that they are less and less enthusiastic. A major reason is what John Pauline, an Adventist pastor and college professor, in his book, Present Truth of the Real World, calls secular drift. No Christian sets out to become secular, but because the culture, get this, because the culture is like a great river of secularism, and every person is in a little boat on that river, we just drift along with the current unless we take action against it. Some Christians try to get out of the river. That is, they try to escape from their culture and live in safe fortresses of their own making. What does Jesus have to say about the matter? If you look at John chapter 17, verse 15 through 19, if you want to have your Bibles, turn there with me. John chapter 17, 15 through 19. While He's with His disciples, He prayed especially for them. And what was that prayer? John 17, 15 through 19. Jesus' words, Jesus' prayer for you and me. I pray not that thou shouldest take them out of the world, but thou shouldest keep them from evil. Is there evil in the world? Of course there is, a lot of it. More and more as time goes on, we see, as Pam said a while ago, there's more and more killings and murders and dying going on now than we've ever heard before in our communities. It used to be this was away from home, it was not around us, it was someplace else, it didn't affect us. But culture always affects people. Your culture will affect you whether you realize it or not, unless you're on a safeguard. They are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. Sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth. As thou hast sent me into the world, even so I have sent them into the world. And for their sakes I sanctify myself, that they also may be sanctified in truth. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, as we look at your word here for a few minutes, and Lord, we look at the culture we live in, and as we look at the holiday, Lord, that's coming up, Lord, let us not get tied up in the culture, but tied up in Jesus. Amen. You know, the things that goes on in the world, our kids, when our kids go to school or when they're daycare or wherever they're at, the other kids that they're around, if you don't watch, they will take on the characteristics of those kids that's around them. Especially if they're not a, say, so-called leader. Most kids are followers. Just like in the world today, there's a few leaders, but mostly followers. And adults and children alike. I had Daniel come one time and said, I don't want to go to church tomorrow. I'm not going. And I said, why not? I don't want to. I don't have to. And I said, where did you get that at? And he called the boy's name that he was going to school with and said, he don't go to church. If his dad don't go to church, I don't have to go to church. It starts early, folks. But how much more are we any different than our kids when we watch the world and the things that the world is doing, and we kind of get away and go with the flow, you might say. We go with the flow. We're on that, as John Pauline called it, that secular drift. What does drift mean? Just going along with the flow. And the wind blows, and the Bible says that the wind blows and we don't know where it goes. Don't know where it is. Same as with the Holy Spirit. That's the drift that we want to be with. We want to go with the flow of the Holy Spirit. Go with the flow of what Jesus teaches, and not going with the flow of the culture. Not going with the flow of the world. Because the flow of the world is going to get you killed. It will get you destroyed. Christmas is all about, supposed to be about the birth of Jesus. It's supposed to focus our minds on Jesus coming to earth as a human being to live a sinless life, to have victory over death and sin for us. But today, Christmas is all about gifts, presents, and this thing called Santa Claus. Santa Claus has nothing to do with Jesus. Santa Claus has nothing to do with the birth of Jesus Christ. So are we going to follow culture, or do we want to follow Christ and His teaching? Do we want to be in the world and not of the world, or do we want to be in the world and reach out and touch the world? And hang on. The Bible tells us that we need to stay closer to Jesus. And how does that drift start? It doesn't just come about all of us, does it? If we've been in the church. How many here have been in church here all your life? The majority. How easy is it to get separated? God can tell me that it's very easy. And how does that start? How does that secular drift that John Pauline was talking about, how does that start? Well, first, think of it like this. One of the first things to go is your private prayer. Your private time with God. When your private time starts to slip, and you put something else in front of time to pray, oh, I've got to do this today, I have to do that, I have to hurry, Lord, I'll spend extra time with you later. But the first thing is private prayer starts to go. Next thing is your Bible study is effective. Even the Bible study may continue, it tends to be less and less important. And how often do you sit down and read the Bible and say, I've read it, I've read these scriptures, I've read so-and-so verse, I've read so-and-so chapter, but I just didn't get anything out of it. Why is that? It's because you've left off that special time with God. We talked about it here in prayer meeting the other night. How many of you here remember, and I'm getting ready to tell your age now, but how many of you here remember the party lines on the telephone? When you used to, you picked up the phone and dialed the number and got the one you was wanting to talk to, then there might be 5 or 6 other people listening, that conversation.
It has to be how long you're going to be on there.
Yeah, but they would be listening to your conversation. A lot of them were just nosy and the gossip. They never wanted, they didn't want you to know that they were there, but that conversation, you would hear one, and then you hear the other, but you wasn't talking with them. Now think of this. How a conversation sounds. If you picked up that party line, you would hear one person, but you couldn't hear the other. How would that conversation sound to you? Wouldn't make any sense, would it? Couldn't understand it, could you? That's what our prayer life is when we start to slip, and that's what Bible reading the Bible. God's Word is a way of communicating to us. That's all we're hearing is a one-way conversation, and it doesn't make sense to us. Prayer time that we need, and we need to have it every day. And we need to have Bible study every day. We need to have that communication between God and ourselves, between Jesus and ourselves. We need to keep that going. Then personal standards of behavior begin to erode. Things that you wouldn't do before becomes something now that you might think is okay. Some things that you had not been accustomed to doing might not seem so bad. And bit by bit, you come to where you start drifting more and more away from God toward the world. How many of you saw people that were in church and loved serving God, and slowly, bit by bit, they started going back into the world, and the church started becoming less and less important to them? We've all seen that happen. You can go back and look, and you can see that these 3 steps, prayer and Bible study, and letting go of your personal beliefs and what the Bible says, will start drawing and pulling individuals away from God. We have to be careful about what we think and what the Bible says, what I feel and what the Bible says. Church attendance becomes irregular until it becomes more trouble than it's worth. We've seen that happen. This pattern is played out all too often. Influences in society become a cause a person to doubt the Bible. You saw that in people? The influences of society begin to work on their minds and their attitudes and their thought process to where they begin to doubt the Bible and to doubt the afterlife and to doubt whether there really is a God. So what's the second part of this? By the way, this Christmas celebration coming up, how many people now refer to God in Christmas? How many of the people you see, how many advertisements on TV and radio and billboards and newspapers and all your advertising, how many of them refer to it as the birth of Jesus. I have not seen any. I have not seen one. It's all about the money. It's all about what can we sell you. What can you earned this. You deserve this. Your wife deserves this. Your husband deserves this. Your children has to have this. Well, to have good things for your wife and for your husband and for your children is good. It's good to desire the best for our families. Nothing wrong with that. But when we put everything in front of Jesus, then it's useless. It's like Solomon said. You know, Solomon had all kinds of gold, over 400,000 stalls of horses, over 4,000 chariots. And said that Henry Ford had lived in Solomon's day, that he would have been Solomon's chauffeur. The richest men would have been working for Solomon. But Solomon still, in his mind, all the worth of the gold and riches. He's serving the God that we claim to serve and love, that we need to be with. Matthew chapter 6, verse 13. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Lead us not into temptation. Keep us away from that drift into the world. Lead us not into temptation. Matthew 13, verse 19. This is a good verse. When anyone heareth the word of the kingdom and understandeth it not, then cometh the wicked one and catcheth away that which was sown in the heart. This is he which received the seed by the wayside. You know the parable of the sower, the good ground, the stony ground, the wayside. The wayside is the ones that receive the word. They don't understand it. Why don't we understand it? Because we've not been prepared. We've not prepared our heart to accept Jesus fully. That way it's easy for Satan to pull him away from us. We are the Seventh-day Adventist Church. What is the Adventist Church referred to? Has been referred to since 1883. Advent movement. And what are we moving toward? It's moving from the holy place into the most holy. It's moving from this sanctuary. The Bible teaches that the world is the courtyard. And we're moving from this toward the holy place, toward heaven. And it was written that in the vision that God's people was having the love and the understanding and the teaching poured out by Jesus Christ. The Father was there in the holy place in the sanctuary, and the light of knowledge was being poured out on them. And some became distracted with the things of the world. And when the movements, they started to move toward the holy place, and the Father and the Son moved into the holy place, that Satan come in and stepped around and took the place of Jesus. And the ones that were distracted by the things of the world never knew the difference. And they started worshiping Satan. That's a scary thought. By not being attentive and paying attention. But John 17, we just read 17, 15 through 19, but 17 verse 9. I pray for them. I pray not for the world, but them that thou hast given me, for they are thine. Verse 11. And now I am no more in the world, but these are in the world, And I come to thee, Holy Father, keep through thine own name those whom thou wilt give me, that they may be one, as you and I are one. Become one. That's the goal. That's our goal. To become one not only with each other as a church, but coming together as one in Christ, in the body of Christ. 2 Peter 9. 2 Peter verse 2, or chapter 2, verse 9, sorry. 2 Peter 2, chapter 2, verse 9. The Lord knoweth how to deliver the ungodly out of temptations. We have all been in that boat, and He knows how to deliver us. He knows how to deliver the godly out of temptation. If we're following Him, if we're close to Him, He can deliver us from the temptation, can't He? The Lord knows how to deliver the godly out of temptation and to reserve the unjust in the day of judgment to be punished. Which group do we want to be in? What group are we in? Are we in that group that as being pulled away by the world, farther from God? Or are we closer to God? Matthew 11:7. And as they departed, Jesus began to say unto the multitudes concerning John, What went ye out into the world in the wilderness to see? A reed shaken by the wind? John was solid, wasn't he? Jesus asked that question to him 3 times, and he said, No, a greater prophet has not been born of a woman than John the Baptist. We need to focus on the solid truths of Jesus. Don't focus on this stuff, every wind of doctrine that changes, like Ecclesiastes that we read, that every wind changes. Every wind of doctrine. There's so many different winds of doctrine blowing today, and so many different ideas of what's truth and what's not truth. We live in what they call the world of postmodernism. That what you believe is okay, what might be okay for you. Something different's okay for me. It's not that way. It's God's way. It's His truth. 1 Corinthians 14, verse 20. Brethren, be not children in understanding how, be not children in understanding how be in malice, be ye children, but in understanding be ye men. Let me read that again. That sounds a little confusing, but hang on a minute. Brethren, be not children in understanding. Howbeit in malice be ye children, but in understanding be men. What was Paul writing there? What was he saying? That first part of that, brethren, be not children in understanding. Can a child completely understand the goodness of following Christ? So he's saying, don't be like a child in understanding what God is doing. Don't be like Daniel was asking, why do I need to go to church? They don't go to church. Why do I need to go? Why do I have to go? Don't be like a child. Know that we're going to church to be with Christ. We know that we're going to church to worship the Most High God. Know that we're going to church and understanding that we're going there to receive a blessing and to bless Him and to bless those around us, because He has appointed us a time and a place to meet together on Sabbath to worship Him, the true God. Come and worship with understanding of an adult, of a man. Howbeit in malice be ye children. In other words, in unkind deeds and wrongdoing, don't know anything about that. Don't have that in your mind. Be as a child when it comes to malice. Don't understand it. Don't learn to understand it. Don't learn to be part of it. Learn to follow Christ. Learn to follow Jesus. But in understanding be you men. In understanding God's Word. In understanding this Word. In understanding the gospel be men. Be grown up and women. Be grown up about it to understand. Be willing to learn. In Hebrews 13:9. Be not carried about with diverse and strange doctrines. For it is a good thing that the heart be established with grace, not with meats, which have not profited them that have been occupied thereupon. Don't be carried around with everything. Don't be carried away with everything that comes along. Every new doctrine, every new thing, every new idea that comes up. Well, we believe this for these years, and we believe this for all these years, but this is something different. This is something new. What else did Solomon have to say? There's nothing new under the sun. It's just packaged different. It's just repainted and polished up and cleaned up and shoved right back at us. Nothing new under the sun. And there's nothing new in our salvation. Jesus Christ came to earth. He came down from heaven. He gave up all of heaven. Stepped down out of the courts of heaven to this miserable, sin-filled, dirty earth. And lived a sinless life. And loved each and every one of us. Loved all that he was with and around. He healed, fed, and cared for. And he still heals and feeds and cares for his people. Why do we not want to serve him more? Don't get caught up in that cultural, secular drift and be pulled away from the Savior. Be pulled away from the reason that Jesus came. The reason that Jesus came was to save us from our sins, to give us eternal life, health and joy and peace. So this holiday season, let's focus upon the reason that it came. It's not about the presents. It's not about the secular idea of what Christmas is about. It's about a king who came to earth and died for our sins, rose again on the third day, descended into heaven to buy us our pardon from our sins. What a gift. What a gift. What a Savior we have. So instead of being drawn away from him, let's be pulled toward him, especially in this time of year. Father in heaven, we thank you, Lord, for the gift of Jesus Christ. We thank you, Lord, that he has come to this world. But Lord, he didn't leave us alone. He left us with the Holy Spirit. He sent the Holy Spirit to guide us. And Lord, let us not neglect him. Let us not neglect our worship and our prayer time. Let us focus more and more upon Jesus Christ as we see the day coming. Lord, that we'll be ready. And we can forevermore rejoice in heaven in Jesus. In his name we pray. Amen.